taking my first step. So far, so good. I think I can do this. Ah! Oh, dear Neptune! Get off of me! Get off of me! Chip, help me! Help me!
Hello everyone! This is Sorry and Target welcoming you back to the channel! As I mentioned in my last video regarding the whole Kappa FTC situation, I was putting my channel into a state of hibernation, setting all of my videos to private for a little while, just so I could see how these changes would play out and how they'd affect channels in reality. And luckily, nothing happened. Well, that's not true, a lot actually happened, but it looks like channels like mine, so far anyway, are in the clear. And I've never been more happy to have been wrong, so thank you guys for your patience and bearing with me as I figured this thing out. Well, at least thanks to those of you who were patient and empathetic with me, but regardless, I love you guys all the same. This little break was really good for me personally, and now that we're back, there are quite a few changes happening on the channel, some already implemented and some that are on their way in the future. So be sure to stick around until the end of the video and we'll discuss how this channel is moving forward in 2020. In the meantime, I know what you guys are here for, so without further ado, let's begin. Today, my friends, we are talking about what is probably, most definitely the most high quality and visually stunning Jurassic Park themed carnivores mod available right now, Jurassic Park Revolution. Jurassic Park Revolution launched just a few months ago on October 30th of last year as, in sharp contrast to most carnivores mods, a finished product. No alphas, no betas, the thing feels like not just a completed mod, but a completed game. Since then, it's had just one patch release to beef up the endgame dinosaurs, but beyond that, this thing came out with a bang and hasn't looked back, cementing itself as one of the most distinctively professional carnivores mods out there. And now, Jurassic Park Revolution's first DLC pack has just arrived, which gives all of its dinosaurs their Jurassic Park Operation Genesis equivalent skins and sound effects, if they didn't already have those before. Like its unrelated companion piece, Jurassic Park Hunter Legends, Jurassic Park Revolution, also led by the ever-talented Tormer, released pretty much fully completed. Again, there were no alpha or beta stages for us to test out along the way. Now, since its debut, Jurassic Park Hunter Legends has had about 40 DLC releases in the form of updated maps, new weapons, and an insane amount of new dinosaurs, bringing the mod's total creature count up to almost 90 animals. Jurassic Park Hunter Legends is big and bombastic, and so is Jurassic Park Revolution to an extent. But Revolution also feels slicker, tighter, and a bit more polished. It feels more like art. And I'm not sure how many more, if any more, DLC packs we'll get for it. Tormer said there are no plans to add classic Jurassic Park dinosaurs like the Tyrannosaurus or Spinosaurus, or smaller creatures like Velociraptor or Herrerasaurus. So I feel like this might be one of the only DLC packs we get for Revolution. But who knows what the future will hold, so until then, let's break down this DLC pack and see what's new. Jurassic Park Revolution's first DLC pack gives each dinosaur in the mod its skin and sound effects pulled directly from JPOG. Again, if the dinosaur didn't already have those to begin with. Now, I believe most of the herbivores, if not all of them in Jurassic Park Revolution, already used their Operation Genesis sound effects in the base release. So, from a sound effects standpoint, this DLC really only affects the carnivores, I think all of which had updated calls and idle sound effects. Even the dinosaurs who were already based on their Operation Genesis skins, like Dryosaurus and Camarasaurus, they've completely gone back to the vanilla JPOG textures. So aside from their new animations for Revolution, these dinosaurs are all now exactly as they appeared in JPOG, which I'm sure will make all the old school JPOG fans happy. This DLC pack is very much aimed at people who played JPOG, or perhaps for people who just wanted a more natural look out of the dinosaurs in the mod. Now, for me personally, I never played JPOG back in the day. Like I've said before, when it comes to Jurassic Park, I'm more of a films and novels guy, not so much the supplementary material. So I unfortunately have no fondness or nostalgia for the game. And because of that, I feel this DLC pack is very much not for me. as I personally vastly prefer the dinosaurs as they appear and sound in the base version of the mod. Not that I think this DLC is bad by any means, and I'm really glad that this DLC exists for those who were hoping the dinosaurs might be more akin to their JPOG counterparts when the mod first launched. But perhaps as we showcase this pack, I can discuss how they compare and better explain my feelings. So the menus, I think, already take a bit of a hit with this DLC release. The new main menu image just doesn't have the richness or depth of the original image, in my opinion. It's just a shot of the Carcharodontosaurus in a field. The dinosaur's too far back, its pose is just so nonchalant, it's a little too obscured by fog, and it really doesn't evoke anything beyond, hey, here's a dinosaur. The original image had a bit more flair to it in my opinion, and I think that's why I prefer it over this new DLC image. The new menu theme is plucked straight from JPOG, and again, as someone who doesn't have that nostalgia for JPOG like I'm sure a lot of you guys do, I think it's a fine addition. Not necessarily better or worse, although I do think it's a bit too bombastic and triumphant, given the overall aesthetic of Revolution's menu designs. I personally always interpreted them as aiming for a darker, more subtle and sinister vibe, something I personally think the default Revolution menu theme pulled off better. Now in the Hunt menu, Rodrigo Vega's beautiful sketches of the dinosaurs, evoking the dinosaur ID sheets from the Lost World, kinda just get covered up with an image of the dinosaur's 3D model. Again, not necessarily bad, but it just kind of breaks the whole artistic flow and vibe the menus exuded beforehand, and sticks out from the rest of the menu aesthetic, in my opinion. So as far as menu elements go, I'm not the biggest fan of this DLC release, but let's take a look at the dinosaurs themselves and see how they compare. The mod's two ambient dinosaurs, Dryosaurus and Homalocephale, already pretty well resembled their JPOG counterparts, so really the differences for these two is more about texture quality than actual skin variations. And I feel the DLC skins are a bit of a downgrade personally. There's just so much richness and detail in Rodrigo's recreated skins for the dinosaurs, and the original JPOG ones just feel a bit blurrier and more desaturated by comparison. And since they're basically the same designs, I'd always opt to just keep the default skins myself. When it comes to Tyrannosaurus, Revolution's first huntable dinosaur, I 100% prefer Rodrigo's default design myself. Again, the JPOG one isn't bad, it's just very standard and reminds me a bit of Jurassic Park's Corythosaurus in the base colors, a color scheme I'm personally not a huge fan of. I mean, in my eyes, it is really hard to beat the default skin's rich red, white, and blue colorations, with the bold stripes and incredibly well detailed muscle and skin definition. While I do personally prefer the Warpath-inspired Styracosaurus, I actually don't mind the JPOG version. The colors feel soft and relaxing, except on the intimidating frill, and the texture also looks very smooth and leathery, I assume very soothing to the touch. Again, I personally find Rodrigo's take on the Jurassic World the game-inspired Kentrosaurus skin much more visually interesting. But again, the JPOG version isn't bad. Just a bit bland, especially compared to the rich colors and pronounced definition on the default one. Both of the Taurosauruses are actually pretty on par with each other in my opinion. Neither one is particularly that exciting, and while I think I prefer the frill on Rodrigo's Jurassic World Evolution inspired skin, I actually think I prefer the hip stripes on the JPOG version. So honestly, I could take or leave either of these skins. I actually quite like the Albertosaurus's JPOG skin. But again, I find Rodrigo's Trespasser inspired variant to be much more visually interesting. What really hurts the Albertosaurus in this DLC pack, in my opinion, are the JPOG calls. Lord have mercy. Like I said, I never played JPOG, but I've heard the stories about the ear-piercing Albertosaurus roars, and holy crap were those stories accurate. Man, this thing is a pain to listen to. I mean, not only are the calls just loud and obnoxious on their own, it sounds like they've blown out the microphone used to record them. I very much prefer the newly designed calls, even if only for my eardrum's sake. I actually really like the JPOG Edmontosaurus skin. I think the color choice and patterning are really neat, but again, it's kinda desaturated and pales in comparison to how rich and bold Rodrigo's interpretation is. Now, I was really hoping the Edmontosaurus would be getting some new sound effects and calls, as I really don't care for its default calls in Revolution, but it turns out that, like all the herbivores, those are its JPOG calls. So, sound effects aside, when it comes down to the skins, I still prefer the default Revolution one. Now, Allosaurus, I'm actually really conflicted on. While I do love the Kenner toy-inspired take, I also really like the bold red and deep dark stripes on the JPOG version, as well as the really nice weathered texturing and muscle definition. What really hurts the DLC Allosaurus, in my opinion, are, again, the calls. They're just old stock bear sound effects, and they sound eerily similar to the Ice Age bear's lame calls. As far as the skins go, this one's really close for me. I love them both. But the lame bear sounds have me leaning more toward Rodrigo's take on Big Al. Like Dryosaurus and Homalocephaly, Camarasaurus is pretty much already based on its JPOG counterpart, and again, Rodrigo's recreated skin features richer colors with more definition and detail than in the original JPOG skin, so unfortunately, my thoughts on Dryosaurus and Homalocephaly apply to Camarasaurus as well. I actually really like the JPOG Acrocanthosaurus. The ragged texturing and patterning are great, and the eye actually looks a lot better than on the default Revolution Acro skin. It's always kinda looked blind to me, probably because it looks like it's missing a pupil. What really hurts the JPOG Acro, to me anyway, are the calls. Are we seeing a pattern here? Holy moly, these calls are laughably bad. It sounds like a cartoon dog growl, and I mean for this dinosaur, specifically Acrocanthosaurus, these sounds are truly kinda terrible, and I very much prefer the new Acro roars over the JPOG ones. You know, it is really hard to beat the JPOG Carcharodontosaurus color scheme. The dark grays and blacks with the red eye ridges are iconic, and it's one of the most baller looking dinosaur skins I've ever seen. Now, the calls aren't great, like at all, but they're not like the worst thing ever. However, to be completely honest, the vivid green and blue Warpath skin has really grown on me. It might be my favorite dinosaur skin in the entire mod, and I actually think I like it more than the JPOG Carcharodontosaurus skin. That's blasphemy, I know. But man, it's just so rich and colorful and well detailed. It's beautiful and unique, especially for a theropod of that size. And while the JPOG skin is still awesome, I think I'm leaning more toward the default Revolution skin, and definitely in the sound effects department. Ultimately guys, this DLC pack is not for me, and that's okay. Even though I can't see myself returning to this DLC pack that often, and I very much prefer the default release, I am still really glad this DLC pack exists to give you guys that JPOG fix you may have been craving. And just to clarify, I don't want this to seem like I'm just hating on JPOG and the designs and the sound effects and whatnot. JPOG's a great game, and I admire and respect the heck out of it. Just by comparison, I don't think its dinosaurs really belong in Revolution, especially compared with what we already had. These new JPOG DLC dinosaurs feel more like they belong in Jurassic Park Hunter Legends than in Revolution. Revolution feels more artistic, and its custom dinosaurs beautifully reflected that. Hunter Legends feels more old school Jurassic Park, and I think the JPOG dinosaurs fit better aesthetically in there than in here. After all, I believe the rest of the dinosaurs in Hunter Legends that were in JPOG look exactly like they did in that game as well. But those are just my thoughts on the DLC pack. What are yours? Which JPOG dinosaur is your favorite or least favorite? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. And if you want to download and try out this DLC pack for yourself, there's a link to it in the description. And if you need help installing it, I've got a handy dandy video link for you in the top right corner. So now that we're back, there have been a few new changes to the channel that you might have noticed. The first one being that it looks like only half of my videos got to come back. Well, I've been wanting to do some major cleanup on this channel for a while now, as those older videos haven't aged all that well, and I'd like to revisit some of those topics in the future. And I'm honestly kind of tired of all the moronic comments I still get on those older videos by people who haven't checked the date or checked any of my more recent updated videos on those topics. So, while my channel was in hibernation, that seemed like just as good a time as any to do some cleanup on the channel. So don't worry, those videos are all still there. They're just in an unlisted playlist titled Older Videos. Original, I know. The link to that playlist is in the description of this video and all of my videos available on the channel. And as long as you have that link, you'll be able to get to that playlist and watch those older videos if you want to. I know lots of you guys still enjoy those older videos, and I really do appreciate that. It means a lot. But this way, it kinda keeps them off the main channel to give me a little quality boost, and allows me to revisit some of those older topics without confusing general viewers in the future. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap it up for now. Sorry my triumphant return, I guess, wasn't as bombastic as some of you might have been expecting, but we'll be discussing more changes to this channel in future videos as the year goes on. And until then, thank you guys as always for watching and for your patience and understanding. And I will see you guys next time.